everyone! Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Elena and welcome to Made with Yiayia. Today we are going to be making a Greek soup. We call it Avgolemono kotosoupa. Mwah! That's a mouthful, isn't it? So what it is a creamy burst of lemon chicken soup. My family absolutely loves it, and I know yours will too. So let's get to it. Let's start making this soup. Oppa! So I do have the 4 chicken legs back attached, so the chicken and the thigh boiling right now. You're gonna have that boiling, I have it on medium once it starts its first boil for a good half hour to 45 minutes. You wanna get that really nice broth that comes out of the chicken. So our soup will be magnifique, all right? So let's get started now with our veggies. So I have 2 carrots, we have 1 whole onion, and we have 4 to 5 garlic cloves, okay? Now we're going to chop our medium to large size onion. Oh, it brings me to tears every time. But yeah, onion always adds such beautiful flavor to our soups. We're just gonna add everything to our pot here. And for our 4 to 5 garlic cloves, I'm actually going to mince it. I like it a little bit smaller inside, so you want the flavor, but I don't like to have big chunks in my soup of garlic. I don't feel it's the place for it, but that's me. If you like chunks, by all means, you can chop it up more so you have more coarse garlic inside, but I just love to have that garlicky flavor. Now we're gonna head to the stove and saute these babies up. So let's go right over there and see how our chicken's doing too. So we have all our vegetables here. What I like to do is saute them a little bit. So I add about 2 tablespoons of our olive oil. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of oregano, one of my favorite Greek spices. It gives it a nice flavor when it's mixed with the oil and the garlic and the onions. So it really livens up the flavor of the veggies. We can see already the carrots are getting a nice brighter orange. So it just needs just a slight little toss. It doesn't have to be too much. Just a little bit to soften them. So about, I would say, 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how high you have your heat. So our vegetables are still simmering here. Another minute or so. You can add a little bit of salt. I have about half a tablespoon that's going to go in the soup. But it's nice to kind of put a little bit of salt and pepper on your vegetables just before you're going to turn it off, so that way you can add a little more to the direct flavor. Now let's take a look at what's happening to our chicken. Ooh, yeah, it looks like it's ready to come out, and we can get that broth into our vegetables. So I'm gonna transfer the chicken to my platter here, just to let it cool off a little bit, just so that way we can get all the chicken pulled off the bone and cut into small pieces. As you can see, the meat's nice and white. It will boil some more, but I do like it when it's basically cooked at this point. And now I like to strain the juice before I put it in there. So I do have my nice big strainer. So, you know, common sense, we just dump it in. So as you can see, we have filled the pot with a little bit of additional water. So about 3/4. Now we have all our yummy chicken. I kind of do it in, you know, pretty well chunks. There we go. So this is when we're going to add our rice too. So from here on in, because everything is basically the chicken's cooked, the veggies have been sauteed, we need about 20 minutes for the rice. So I use about 1 cup to 1.5 cups in this pot. And I also add the rest of my spices, so the rest of the oregano that I had. The rest of my salt, which both of those are about 1/2 tablespoon. And the pepper was about 1 teaspoon. So all this is going to boil again for about 20 minutes. So as soon as it comes back to a boil, I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes. But what goes great with soup? We have some bread rising in the oven. We're going to have a future post on how to make this particular recipe that I know my family loves and my friends absolutely love. I'm always sharing this bread. So we're going to let that boil, and then we're going to make that final touch, which is our lemony burst of flavor. So now for the part that makes the soup nice and lemony and creamy. So I have 2 eggs at room temperature. So from the beginning, when I started making the soup, I took these out and I had them on the counter. My thinking, I haven't really read up on it, is if they're not frozen cold from the fridge, we don't want it to scramble. We do have a process that we're gonna do, but I just figured the closer to room temperature the eggs are, it kind of helps to make sure our eggs don't get scrambled in our soup. So we have our 2 eggs. And we're going to add the juice of 2 lemons. I always start with 2. This soup, the whole point of this soup is that nice lemony burst of flavor that comes out. Sometimes though, the lemons are really nice and tart, so 2 is enough. But sometimes you need to add another 1/2 or 1/3, but you can incorporate it after, as you can even, you know, salt and pepper to taste, because it is a soup after all, right? And our one final ingredient that we add is, I put a couple teaspoons of cornstarch. I know the rice does thicken the soup, but this just kind of brings it a little bit all together to make it that nice creaminess. If you want to use flour, you can. I do cornstarch. And one more little mix here. Get all that powder mixed in. Look at that. Nice and frothy. This is what you want it to look like. So now we're gonna go to our soup and slowly incorporate the nice hot soup into this, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. So let's take a look here. Wow. This is what you want it to look like. Look at that. Beautiful. All your veggies, your chicken. It already smells so good. So we don't want this mixture to scramble up our eggs. So we're gonna add a little bit at a time from the soup. And just gently, it doesn't matter if you're getting some of the actual chicken and stuff. It's just a matter of incorporating the heat slowly into our egg and lemon mix. You see that frothiness is still there. You want to make sure that continues and nothing is scrambling up. And Once we fill this bowl, about halfway should be enough. We are going to put it into our soup. And one more final little step after that. And we will be ready to taste this beautiful, creamy, lemony chicken soup. Avgolemono. So now, oopsie. So now we're just gonna dump it in. Beautiful. Give it a quick stir. Look how creamy that looks already. Instantly made it nice and white. Now we're going to bring it. We just have to bring it to a boil. Once it actually starts to boil, we just turn it off. We just want that egg to kind of cook into the soup a little bit more. And we want the cornstarch to do its job to thicken, which you can already see a difference. And then we get to taste. All right, let's see how this looks. Ooh, look at that steam. Wow, beautiful. So nice and thick. All right, let's put some for our tasting. Nice and thick. That's what you want it to look like. So, time to taste. Where's my taster? Let's see what you think of this soup.
Well, this looks good. This is perfect. My throat feels funny, and I think it's just the right thing for me today. Let me try it.
See if the lemon is good and the salt.
Wow, that is good.
Awesome. So you give it a thumbs up today?
Right on. Beautiful.
So there you have it, everybody. Thanks for joining us again today. This is Elena and Nick showing this beautiful Avgolemono soup on Made with Yiayia.
All right.
Hoppa!